Hello there, this is part 2 of the 5 scary encounters video that was posted last week. Before we begin, I recommend that you watch part 1 of this video. Now that this is done, let's begin. Hello, my name is David and I am a plug-in software on Quinton's computer. My job is the same as Quinton's, to uncover the unknown, but my primary subjects are scary and disturbing ones. Enjoy. Number 4, he showed me his scar. I grew up living a fairly sheltered life. My parents were always on top of everything I did. They made sure I was never in danger or dealing with someone unpleasant. So, up until very recently I never dealt with a creepy and uncomfortable situation. I moved away for college last year and don't have my parents keeping a watchful eye on me like how they used to, thank goodness. I was starting to get tired of constantly being told how to act, unable to make my own mistakes and learn from them. I made it through my first year of college perfectly fine, nothing out of the ordinary happened. Today changed that. I'm a few weeks into my summer courses and starting to get really sick of my 8 a.m. class, so I'll jump on any excuse to skip out on class. I managed to find my lab partner in the lecture hall and sat next to him this morning, glad to have someone to whisper with to keep me awake. About 30 minutes into class, my lab partner, Mark, leaned over to me and asked if I wanted to tag along to the printing center so he could print some papers out for our lab next class. Of course I wanted to tag along, anything to get me away from this class. We packed up all of our stuff and quietly left the lecture hall. Outside we chuckled to each other about how we're terrible when it comes to paying attention in that class and hope we don't fail the upcoming test. We didn't make it too far before we were stopped by a rather strange, older-looking man. He was dressed in a cut-off t-shirt and rather dirty sweatpants with pieces of scotch tape stuck to it. He shouted at us from a distance, "Hey! Do you guys like this campus?" We slowly turned and nodded our heads as he caught up to us. Once he did, things started to get really strange really fast. I'll try to type it out as exactly what happened. Man, I love this campus. I've been coming here since the 80s. I've taken a bunch of classes. Over 80 classes actually. College is my hobby. I was part of a frat here and loved it there. Although, they didn't let me spend time with my wife when I wanted to, they said that they came first and I guess they had a point. You guys see that building over there? He pointed over to one of the newer buildings. My dad donated a lot of money to that building. I even have my own room so I can go in there and download technology. Its name is Roland's World. In the bunch of times I've passed through that building, not once have I ever seen a room by that name. I raised an eyebrow and looked over at Mark, who also had a puzzled look on his face. The man didn't seem to notice our expressions and kept on talking. So in '82 John Belushi passed away, and about a month after that I got into an accident and thought that I was gonna die too. Here's my scar. He pulled his shirt down from his chest to reveal an odd scar he had gotten from his accident. I was a bit stunned that he would reveal something like that to people he literally just met a few minutes ago. I started to get nervous and saw that Mark was just as nervous as me. The two of us just slightly nodded our heads and stared at him, not knowing what to do. After he pulled his shirt back up, he went on talking as if he didn't do anything strange, not noticing our expressions. What he said next really creeped me out. I grew up in, great place. Loved it there, but I love it here too. Me, trying to be friendly, told him that I too grew up in the same place and really liked it there. He continued with, yeah, my dad owned a used car lot near. My dad also does the same thing in literally the same exact area. He made millions. About 9 million. Yeah, I'm still waiting on my inheritance. My sister already got hers. I got my little house here paid off. It's small but it's mine. I have to keep telling my wife not to commit suicide because we don't have kids. Like, come on, you're in your 60s. You've made it pretty far. How much information was this guy going to give Mark and me? I didn't know how to respond to this man. I wanted to walk away from him, but I was raised by my mother to be nice to people and to act like a lady, smiling and being polite. He stopped talking for a bit and just kind of stared at us. I noticed that Mark and I were slowly moving away from him. He noticed this and started talking again. Yeah, I'm a numbers guy. I love business, that's my favorite building, he said, pointing over at the business building. I just love numbers. I also love stitching. He said this while dragging his finger across his throat. I smiled at him and told him it's great that he's found something he loves, but we had to get to class. He began walking away and turned around and shouted to never give up. We walked past him to get to the stairs that led to the building we had to get though, and while passing by him we overheard him telling a group of men about where he's from and how much he liked it there. He told the group that he had a bunch of girlfriends there but was now single. He literally just told us he was married. Mark and I were discussing how glad we were to be out of that conversation and looked over our shoulder to see that he was walking towards us quickly, as if to catch up to us. We panicked and went in through the back door of the building and started climbing the stairs to the main level. We heard the door that we came through open and someone climbing up the stairs behind us. We were sure it was him because there was no one else near the building or anyone walking towards it. I really hope I don't see this guy wandering around campus again because honestly that was incredibly creepy. Number 5, it's risky business working at an adult store. I was 19 at the time when I worked at the store. Not wanting to give too much info out, I'll just call it the Spot for now. So the Spot was basically a mom and pop run chain of, I think, 12 stores. Average it was 2 people per store. You and the other person would alternate days, so working literally every other day of the week 9:30 a.m. through midnight all day by yourself. I didn't mind though. I kept myself busy and I brought a taser with me, just in case. It was around 11:30 p.m. when I heard the basic beep notifying me someone has opened the door. When I looked up from the register to greet my rather late guest, a nauseating smell began to slowly creep up my nostrils. It was a weird, strong concoction of a barn with probably way too many animals in it, and a hint of something very old and rotten. His choice of clothing rather complemented the smell. Those damn horrendously dirty boots started to flake bits of dried mud on my recently cleaned floor instantly. Faded jeans, just as bad as the boots, caked with dried mud up to the knee, also flaking shit everywhere. His red button-down flannel covered in dark stains was tucked in, clearly being the obvious gentleman that he was. His freckled face and sandy blonde hair were surprisingly clean though, like he just showered and put all of his dirty clothes back on. Hi, welcome to the Spot. Is there anything you're looking for in particular this evening? I greeted with a fake smile, trying not to look bothered by the god-awful smell. He smiled and stated that he needed bed restraints and wanted to browse our selection of toys that would satisfy a more sadistic pleasure, flashing me another smile, this one being a bit bigger. I heard weird comments like that all the time, so I wasn't bothered yet. I figured he wanted to see our selection of pretty basic BDSM inventory. I showed him to our 3 different restraints. He picked one out and then walked over to our little stand of whips, ball gags, etc. I let him know that everything we have is out on the floor, and if he had any questions to let me know. This is when things got weird. Every couple of minutes he would pick up an item and ask if we had something bigger, more invasive, more intense. Every time he asked, he wouldn't break eye contact with me, as to not so much as miss a twitch of discomfort he was clearly trying to cause. Every time I stood my ground, I would blankly tell him time and time again, "Sir, like I said before, unfortunately all of our items are out on the floor." But I couldn't stand it anymore when he asked, I think the 5th time. It was a red vinyl tarp, something you would see in your basic girl-on-girl wrestle match in baby oil. "Do you happen to have this in another color?" he asked, almost hopeful that we might actually have something he desperately wanted in the back. I told him unfortunately we didn't have any other colors, almost desperately. It was 11:55 and I just wanted this guy out of my store. "It's a shame you don't have it in any other colors," he sighed, looking at me waiting for a reaction. What the fuck, I'll finally bite you ass. Hopefully if I just say something he'll be satisfied and finally leave, and I could finally sanitize the hell out of the store to cover the god-awful scent and go home. So I said the only thing I ever had to say about that red vinyl tarp to customers: "I'm not a huge fan of it. Personally it makes me think of something someone would use in a snuff film." I giggled nervously at the end when I could tell by his facial expression that he thought I said something extremely unintelligent. He then chuckled, looked at me excitedly like he was about to blow my mind with some amazing information, and I guess technically he did. "You're too sweet and young of a thing to know anything about that line of films, baby doll. But I'll be upfront with you about something. People who watch and or make those movies love the gory ones. The more blood the better. They drink that shit up like desperately needed Monday morning coffee. So a red tarp simply wouldn't find its way in that film industry. The blood would just fade into the floor as the life fades out of the star of the movie's eyes." He paused, winked at me, and then checked his phone. I just stood there completely frozen, trying to wrap my head around what exactly I just heard. When I had not even another second to think, he gasped, "I'm sorry, it's 12:02. You need to close. I'm ready to go." He made a quick dash to the register. I just instinctually followed, logging into the register to complete a transaction. I handed him his bag and his receipt when he decided to take a step back, and looked me up and down. Looking rather pleased, he asked how far in I plan on going into the adult entertainment business. I said I was just interested in selling toys and that was as far as I intended. He frowned slightly. "It's a shame. You would be a hit as the star in the upcoming film I'm producing." I laughed nervously and said I wasn't interested and he had better start searching for someone else. He chuckled, "Oh, I'll come back for you, baby doll. I don't just let pretty young things like you out of my grasp. I'll be seeing you again." And with that he slipped out the door with me soon quickly behind to lock it. I stood there for a couple minutes, my hand never leaving the lock. My thoughts filling my head to capacity, I began to think of reasons for why he had the dark stains on his shirt and smelled so terrible. Thinking of the smell made me realize it still raked in here. I hastily closed down the register, scanned the empty parking lot before unlocking the door, taser in one hand and keys in the other. I got to my car safely and made it home. I worked there for a couple more months and he never did come back in. So creepy. Most likely a snuff producer who told me how much he and his fans loved blood and then seemed to openly ask if I wanted to star in his upcoming film, Let's Not Meet. Yeah, so the reason I had to make two parts of this video was because it was so long, and with the original video, I wasn't able to upload the video because the file was too large. Over 1 GB exactly. I hope you enjoyed part 2, if you did please like, comment, and subscribe for more scary videos like this every weekend. I will talk to you all later.